Hello everyone. So we're gonna start the Lakshmikant Politics Part 3. Okay. Um, Today we're gonna complete most of the chapter, and in the next video we're gonna complete this chapter. Okay, let us start. First, the Crown Rule, 1858 to 1947. So first is Government of India Act of 1858. This significant act was enacted in the wake of revolt of 1857, also known as First War of Independence or Sepoy Mutiny. This act was enacted in the wake of revolt of 1857, that was also known as First War of Independence. So First War of Independence was done in 1857. 1857 also known as First War of Mutiny, right? And the word Sepoy mutiny here means Bagawat, means the Britishers are saying ki we have done the Bagawat in 1857, and when we got the independence in 1947. So these 100 years, what have been in these 100 years, we're gonna study this. And okay, the act also known as Act for the Good Government of India. This act was known as Good Government of India, abolished the East India Company and transferred the power of government, territories and revenue to the British Crown. They abolished means they have taken all the power from the East India Company and transferred all the power to the government, all the power of government, territories and revenue to the British Crown. What were the features of this act? It provided that India henceforth was to be governed by and in the name of Her Majesty. India will be governed by Her Majesty. It changed the designation of the Governor General of India to that of Viceroy of India. Now, first of all, there were three governors of three different states. Then, the of one state was made the Governor General of complete India. Then the Governor General of India was transferred as Viceroy. Means now the all the काम वगैरह जो भी होंगे इंडिया के अंदर, all the power would be given to the Viceroy of India. They just name it as Viceroy. He means here Viceroy was the direct representative of British Crown in India. He was the direct representative of the British Crown. So the direct representative of the British Crown in India was named as Viceroy. Lord Canning thus became the first Viceroy of India. Who was the first Viceroy? Lord Canning. This is important. Lord Canning was the first Viceroy of India. Now, it ended the system of double government by abolishing the Board of Control and Court of Directors. They just abolished the Board of Control and Court of Directors and ended the system of double government. Then, it created a new office, Secretary of State for India, vested with the complete authority and control over Indian administrative. They created a new office that is called as Secretary for State for India. Secretary of State for India that vested the complete authority and control over Indian administration. The Secretary of the State was a member of British Cabinet. The Secretary of that state was the member of British Cabinet. He was a member of British Cabinet and was responsible ultimately to the British Parliament, right? कि जो complete, they created a new office that is they called as Secretary of State for India and vested the complete authority and control over Indian administrative. Then they that the member of that secretary was directly responsible to the British Parliament. Fourth, it established a 15-member council. Now they established a 15-member council of India to assist the Secretary of State for India. Now they made a 15-member council. The council was an advisory body. The Secretary of State was made the chairman of council. Now the Secretary of State was made as the chairman of council. Next, it constituted the Secretary of State in council as the body corporate. Capable of suing and being sued in the India and in England. He was capable of suing and being sued too in the India and England both. The Act of 1858 was, however, largely confined to the improvement of administrative machinery by which the Indian government was to be supervised and controlled in England. That Act of 1858 was, however, largely confined to the improvement of which administrative machinery by which an Indian government was supervised. So the Indian government was supervised by the one who is sitting in England, right? It did not alter in any substantial way the system of government that prevailed in India. Okay, the next act was Indian Council Act of 1861, 1892, and 1901, 1909. Sorry. So we're gonna read all the features of these acts. Okay. Right. Indian Council Act of 1861, 1892, and 1909. After a great revolt of 1857, that was a great revolt, that was the first war of independence, the British government felt the necessity of seeking the cooperation of Indians in the administration of their country. Now they made it necessary, or they think it is necessary to seek a cooperation of the Indians in the administrative of their country. First of all the administrative, which were means all the members, all were the Britishers. Now they seek a necessity to cooperate, seeking the cooperation of Indians in the administrative of their country. In pursuance of this policy of association, three acts were enacted. Now the three acts were enacted that were by the British Parliament, that were 1861, 1892, and 1909. Right. In the Indian Council Act of 1861 is an important landmark in the constitutional and political history of India. Now we're going to see what happened in 1861. The features of this act are: it made a beginning of representative institution by associating Indians with the law-making process. First time the Indians were associated with the law-making process. It thus provided the Viceroy should nominated some Indians as non-official member of his expanded council. Now first time the Viceroy has nominated some Indians as a non-official members. Not अभी भी इन्होंने official members की तरह appoint नहीं किया गया था. Indians were appointed as non-official member of his expanded council. In 1862, Lord Canning, the Viceroy, nominated three Indians to his legislative council, and these three were Raja of Banaras, the Maharaja of Patiala, and Sir Dinkar Rao. These three members, or these three peoples were nominated as a legislative council by the Viceroy. Okay, second is it initiated the process of decentralization by restoring the legislative power. Now the process of decentralization was done to by restoring the legislative power. They restores the legislative power to the Bombay and Madras presidencies. First of all, there were three like governors, right? Then they made a governor general, and it was given all the powers. Now the powers were again distributed to the Bombay and Madras presidencies. It thus reversed the centralizing tendency that started from the Regulating Act of 1773. Yes, we have read the Regulating Act of 1773, and it just centralized the tendency that started. It now had centralized the tendency that has started in 1773 in this Act of 18. Right, and reached its climax under the Charter Act of 1833. This policy of legislative devolution resulted in the grant of almost complete internal autonomy to the province in 1937. Third point is it also provided for the establishment of new legislative council for Bengal. Now a new legislative council for Bengal was established. Northwestern Frontier Province NWFP and Punjab were established in 1862, 1866, and 1897 respectively. Now the new legislative council for Bengal for north western frontier provinces मतलब NWFP and Punjab, now established in 1862, 1866, and 1897. Fourth, it empowered the Viceroy to make rules and orders for the more convenient transaction of business in the council. It gave an recognition of the portfolio. They made a portfolio system introduced by the Lord Canning in 1859. Lord Canning introduced a portfolio system in 1859. It gave a recognition to that. Under this, a member of Viceroy Council was made in charge. A member of the Viceroy's Council. Viceroy's Council have the three members from the three non-official members of India also, right? You remember, right? So a member from that Viceroy Council was made in charge of one or more departments of the government and was authorized to issue final orders on behalf of Council on matter of his department or departments. Now a member of the Viceroy Council was made in charge or to a department or more department of which was authorized that he will make the final orders or he will pass the final orders on behalf of the council on matter of his department. And the fifth is it empowered the Viceroy to issue ordinance without the concurrence of legislative council during an emergency. The life of such ordinance was 6 months. Then come the feature of Act of 1892. It increased the number of additional a non-official member in the central and provincial legislative council, but maintained the official majority in them. Okay, in the last act of 1861, they made they appointed three non-official Indians as their council members, but in this they increased the number of additional or non-official members in the central and provincial legislative councils. It increased the function of legislative council and gave them the power of discussing the budget and addressing questions to the executive. Now it increased the function of legislative council, uh, how they gave them the power of discussing the budgets also and addressing questions to the executive, means they can ask the questions to the executive. Now it provided for the nomination of some non-official members. They provided the nomination of some non-official members of the Central Legislative Council by the Viceroy of recommendation of Provincial Legislative Council and Bengal Chamber of Commerce. And it okay, what it gonna say, it central the legislative council by the viceroy of recommendation of the provincial legislative council and Bengal Chamber of Commerce. And second, that the provincial legislative council by the governance and recommended on the district board, municipalities, universities, trade association, jamidars and chambers. Um, and this act made a limited and indirect provision for the use of elections. This first time the word here, the elections is used, right? You have to remember this. The word election was used in the feature of Act of 1892 and was however not used in this act. Okay, the word election was not used, I'm so sorry, the word election was even not used in this act. Means they were just showing ki we are doing some non-official members, we are electing more Indians non-officially, we are adding the more members, we are giving power to discuss the budgets etc, but they even don't use the word election. The process was described as nomination made on the recommendation of central bodies. Now what I want to add here is in 1885 Indian National Congress was made, and that Indian National Congress was made, that party, they influenced on this act, like they have the so much of doing with this act, means they just suppresses the Britishers and they ask for their rights for the first time. Now the features of Act of 1909. This act was also known as Morley-Minto reforms. Why this act was known as Morley-Minto reforms? Because Lord Morley was the Secretary of State for India and Lord Minto was the Viceroy of India. Lord Morley was the Secretary of State of India and Lord Minto was the Viceroy of India. Now the points are, it considerably increased the size of legislative council, both central and provincial. It increased the size of legislative council, both central और provincial दोनों की size को increase किया गया. Number of members of central legislative council was raised from 16 to 60. They said that we are increasing the number of central legislative council from 16 to 60. The number of members in the provincial legislative council was not uniform. Second, it retained official majority in the central legislative council but allowed the provincial legislative council to have non-official majority. Official majority दी गई थी central को, but allowed the provincial legislative council to have non-official majority. And central legislative की ही seats or numbers was increased from 16 to 60, and the provincial legislative council was not uniform. Right. Third, it enlarged the deliberatory functions of the legislative council at both the levels. It encouraged, and for examples, the members were allowed to ask supplementary questions of budgets and so on. The first time they were allowed to ask the supplementary questions of budgets, ki where our tax is going, where what are you doing, matlab what this our money is used, and whatever the questions like this. Okay. It provided for the first time for the association of Indians with the executive council of the viceroy and governors. Satyendra Prasad Sinha became the first Indian to join the Viceroy Executive Council. Satyendra Prasad Sinha means an Indian. This was the first Indian to join the Viceroy Executive Council. He was appointed as the law member. First time the Indian was appointed as the law member. Fifth, it introduced a system of communal representation for Muslims by accepting the concept of separate electorate. Means they just use the system of separate electorate. By accepting the concept of separate electorate, communal representation for Muslims. The first time they introduced a system for Muslims. Under this, the Muslim member were to be elected only by Muslim voters. Under this act, only the Muslim members can vote for a Muslim, and thus the act legalized communism, and Lord Minto came to be known as the father of communal electorate. This act or this was legalized communalism, and the Lord Minto was came to be known as father of communal electorate. And who was Lord Minto? Lord Minto was the Viceroy of India, right? It also provided for the first representative for the President Corporation and Chambers of Commerce, universities, and Jamidars. Now, the Government of India Act of 1919. On August 20, 1917, the British government declared for the first time that its objective was gradual introduced for the responsible government in India, and the Government of India Act of 1919 was thus enacted, which came into force in 1921. The Government of India Act of 1919 came into force in 1921. It took 2 years just to came into force. This act was also known as Montagu-Chelmsford Reform. Montagu was the Secretary of State for India, and Lord Chelmsford was the Viceroy of India. Just named like Morley Minto Reform. This was Chelmsford Reform. The feature of this act was it relaxed the central control over the provinces by demarcating and separating the central and provincial subjects. The central and provincial subjects were demarcated, and it relaxed all this. Like means it separated the central and provincial subjects. The central and provincial legislative were authorized to make laws on their respective list of subject. However, means they can make the laws on their respective list. However, the structure of government continued to be centralized and unitary. It further divided the provincial subject into two parts, transferred and reserved. It divided the provincial subject into transferred and reserved subject. The transferred subject were administered by the governor with the aid of minister responsible to the legislative council. These were the transfer subject. They were administered by the governor. And the reserved subject, on the other hand, was to be administered by the governor and his executive council without being responsible to the legislative council. First, they were responsible for the legislative council, but for the reserved subject, they were not responsible for the legislative council. This dual scheme of government was also known as diarchy. This dual scheme was also known as diarchy, and the term diarchy means double rule. They were ruling like they were just double ruling. How? Because the transfer subject were administered by the governor with the aid of minister responsible to the legislative council, but the reserved subject were not responsible to the legislative council. So this term was named as diarchy, which means they were double ruling. However, this experiment was largely unsuccessful. Third is it introduced for the first time bicameralism and direct elections in the country. First time the direct elections, the word for election is used here for the first time, and the direct elections for the first time came into force. Thus, the Indian Legislative Council was replaced by a bicameral legislative constituting of an upper house. What is upper house? Means the Council of State, and a lower house means Legislative Assembly. The majority of members of both the houses were chosen by direct elections. Now here the direct elections were done to choose the members of both these houses, an upper house for the Council of State and a lower house for the Legislative Assembly. Fourth, it required that the 3 of the 6 members of the Viceroy Executive Council, other than the Commander-in-Chief, were to be Indian. They said that the 3 members among of the 6 of the Viceroy Executive Council should be Indian. Other than the Commander-in-Chief, right? It extended the principle of communal representation by providing separate electorate for the Sikh, Indian Christians, Anglo-Indians, and Europeans. They said to make a principle of communal representation and provide a separation electorates, means separate elections will be held for the Sikhs, for Indian Christians, for Anglo-Indians, and for Europeans. 6. It granted franchise to a limited number of people on the basis of property, tax, and education. The franchise were granted to a limited number of people on the basis of the property, tax, or education. It created new office of the High Commissioner for India in London and transferred to him some of the functions hitherto performed by the Secretary of State of India. He transferred, or he created a new office in the High Commissioner of India in London and transferred him some of the function hitherto performed by the Secretary of State of India. Means they just want that the person who is sitting in the London will come rule the or govern the India. 8th, it provided for the establishment of Public Service Commission. Hence, the Central Public Service Commission was set up in 1926. A Central Public Service Commission was set up in 1926 for regulating the civil servants. And the it separated for the first time provincial budgets from the central budgets. पहले they just say कि all the budgets is this, but now they separated the provincial budgets and the central budgets and authorized the provincial legislative to enact their budgets. 10th, it provided for the appointment of a statutory commission to inquire into and report on its working after 10 years of its coming into force. After 10 years, it just gave a statutory commission to inquire into the report of what they're working. Okay, thank you. This is all for today. I hope you guys like the video. If you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up, comment down, subscribe to the channel. The Telegram channel link is in the description. Don't forget to check it out. Thank you.